What's going on, guys? It's Northern Rides, and today we're gonna be talking about something I find very fun. We're gonna be talking about every single operating Danish theme park. Currently, there are 9 operating parks in the country, so not a whole lot. And I'm gonna try to guess what coasters could be coming to these parks, what coasters I would like to see at these parks, what coasters I think are a realistic choice. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be speculating. And none of these are confirmed whatsoever. This is just what I've been thinking about myself. So please, no hard feelings. Please tell me in the comments below if you have any ideas about any of the parks. Like I might sound really stupid and you have a great idea, something very realistic or so. Please tell me in the comments below. Otherwise, we're just going to get started with our first park, which is Bakken. This park is located right outside Copenhagen. Their iconic coaster is Rutsjebanen, which is an old scenic railway from 1932. Now, this is an icon, and I do not see them removing this. However, last year it had an accident, and it's also started to become quite rough. So, not that it's gonna happen, but what I would like to see is actually its removal. And that's a very unpopular opinion. I know people are probably gonna be like, no, we love that coaster. And yeah, it's not a bad coaster, but I would like to see its removal. Personally, what I would like to see is it getting RMC'd. I'm sure they can afford it, actually. Not that it's gonna happen, but an RMC of this would be pretty neat. Either that, or they might remove it and replace it with something like a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster or a Eurofighter, because those are the kind of coasters that would fit into that space. There is a chance Bakken might build a new coaster outside of the current park because they have a lot of space. They're just in the middle of nowhere. I'm pretty sure they're allowed to expand. I'm not sure about that, but this is just what I wanted to see at the park. The next park is BonBon-Land. We're gonna take a bit of a realistic vision on this one. So BonBon-Land, I've already talked about this in another video. I do not see the park getting any new coaster at all. But if they were to get a new coaster, I see them getting a small family coaster, something cheap, something to make the crowds interested again. So first, I have 2 choices. So first, a Gerstlauer Bob coaster. There's only one of these in the world, which is in the Danish Zoo, Knuthenborg Safari Park. It's this very small Gerstlauer kiddie coaster where you sit in bobsled-like positions in the train. Then again, it would be very similar to the park's dog fart coaster. So another thing I had in mind is something very unique compared to what the park has otherwise, and that is a Vekoma family boomerang. I think this would fit in very well. They haven't really worked with Vekoma yet, as far as I've understood. They do like Gerstlauer and Sierra, but regarding the coasters that might fit into the park, I think this would do very well. They do have space to expand and get a small coaster. So moving on to Brændegårdshaven on Bornholm, which is a Danish island on the other side of Sweden. Now, this park is very playground-like. Most of the stuff here is playground stuff. They do have manually operating rides. They have one coaster which is a backyard coaster. So if they were to get anything here, it would be a wacky worm. It would be a Pinfari Big Apple. I don't see anything happening here. I don't see a wild mouse. I don't see a boomerang at all. I see something very small, very cheap, something portable. Moving on to Djurs Sommerland, arguably the best park in the country. Now this park currently has 7 operating roller coasters, and they actually have a pretty good top 3, all of which are Intamin rides. So I see their next coaster being an Intamin. Now what Intamin perhaps? I see an Intamin Blitz happening. Now the reason for this is, in the video they made where they showcased the construction of their Intamin suspended family coaster, they talked about how much they liked working with Intamin. They trust Intamin very much, they like the cooperation, and also these past few years they've really been expanding. They've been getting really good rides these past few years. They have really been doing good for themselves, so I can see that what they're missing from the lineup is a Woody and an Intamin Blitz. If they were to get a Woody, I see a GTI, without a doubt. I think their next coaster is going to be an Intamin, and I think it's going to be something that goes upside down like a Blitz coaster. This would fit in very well. I can't quite tell you where in the park it would be, but it would definitely fit in the park very well. Otherwise, we're going to be moving on to Fårup Sommerland, which is very similar to Djurs Sommerland. Those two are often compared. This park doesn't have a certain love for a specific manufacturer. They have 6 coasters. The newest big coaster they have is the Vekoma Suspended Family Coaster. And I could see them going with a Vekoma again. I could see them going with a thrill coaster because they definitely have a lot of family rides. They've also been doing very well with their new Vekoma. I think they're very proud of it. So I think their next coaster could be a Vekoma Bermuda Blitz coaster, like Lech. The Vekoma Bermuda Blitz is a thrill coaster. It has inversions. There's only one in the world so far, which is Lech coaster. But I could definitely see Fårup Sommerland thinking, we need something like this. They only have one coaster with an inversion, which is Lynet, a Gerslauer launch coaster. And first I actually thought they might get something like a Premier Ride Skyrocket 2. But I don't think they'd go with another inverting launch coaster, so a chain lift coaster. And that's basically what I think Fårup Sommerland is going to get. Moving on to the world's first Legoland park, Legoland Billund in Denmark. They are very happy for Mack Rides and Sierra. Also, this is a very family-friendly park. They don't do big thrill coasters, stuff like that. So if they were to get anything, I see them getting something like a Mack Youngstar coaster. They could definitely use something like that. Either that or a Mack spinning coaster. I think both of these would fit in very well in the park, especially the spinning coaster. I think that is the most likely to fit in the park. It would be different from the other rides they have, where the Youngstar might be very similar to the Sierra elevated seating coaster they have. And it would definitely be very popular with the public. I could also see a lot of opportunities for theming for this coaster because Legoland loves theming their coasters. So moving on to Sommerland Sjælland, this is a very small, very old school park. They have 2 coasters which are both portable. It's a Wacky Worm and a Cyclone. So if I see them getting anything, I see them still getting something small, but they could definitely invest in something bigger, I think. So something like a Relaxation spinning coaster. This is essentially what I see is most likely to happen. Something exactly like Flagermusen at Fårup Sommerland. There's not really a lot to say about this coaster. It's family orientated, it spins, it's not too big. I think they can't be portable. I'm not entirely sure, but I do think they are. They definitely have a lot of space. They have a lot of space to add this thing because they have a lot of just grass. Moving on to Tivoli Friheden, the only park on the list that I have actually not visited. Besides their Sartori inverting coaster, they primarily have family rides. They have very small rides. Recently they got this Gerslauer Sky Roller, but it's like very small and very cheap. So I think that if they're gonna get anything, they're gonna get something like a Sierra Force coaster. Maybe something like Flying Eagle at Legoland. They could use something like a newer coaster, definitely something for the small kids that they could look forward to. Something in crazy colors too, I think they're gonna do that. And finally we have Tivoli Gardens. This is my closest home park. And this year they're already getting 2 new coasters. That's right, they are replacing their old Sierra Tivoli coaster with a Sierra Force coaster. And they are replacing their old Mack Rides powered coaster with a new Mack powered coaster. So we already know they're getting 2 new coasters this year, and I think that they would fit very well in, but I'm not just gonna let you guys know what they're already getting. I'm still gonna be speculating. So if they were to get a new coaster, what could it be? This is very difficult because they cannot expand the park whatsoever because it's right in the middle of Copenhagen. If they were to expand, they'd have to demolish buildings and roads, and that's just not gonna happen. That's just an impossible sight to see. So if they were to get anything, I think they would probably get a thrill coaster. I could see that happening. So something like an Intamin sack spin. That could fit into very small spaces. I think they're definitely gonna have to remove something in order to get it in there. Exactly where, I'm not sure. And I don't see it happening either. Now, I do have another thing to say. I think that if they were to remove a coaster like Demonen, which is probably the most likely coaster to be removed, their B&M floorless coaster, I could see them getting something like a Gerslauer Infinity coaster or a Eurofighter. That would fit in very well, something very compact like the Smiler, or maybe even an Intamin accelerator like Kanonen. But besides this, the Intamin sack spin is probably the most likely. Either that or a small maybe spinning coasters, something like that. But anyways, guys, that is what I had been thinking about. Make sure to tell me in the comments if I am completely stupid or if you have some better ideas, something like that. And otherwise, guys, it has been Northern Rides, and I hope you all keep on riding.